Hi, I'm Bluefish and welcome to our guide on secure coding practices. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Coding? Securely? Isn't that like trying to build a sandcastle during a hurricane while also juggling flaming torches? And, well, sometimes it can feel that way. But in today's digital age, where our lives are increasingly intertwined with the ones and zeros that make up our applications, protecting those applications from vulnerabilities and cyber threats is more important than ever. It's not just about preventing some shadowy hacker in a hoodie from doing nefarious things, it's about building trust, protecting data, and frankly, ensuring the digital world we're all building together doesn't crumble around us. Think of it this way, every line of code is a brick in the digital edifice of your application. And just like a real building, if those bricks aren't sound, if the mortar is weak, or if there are hidden doors only the bad guys know about, then the whole structure is at risk. We're talking about everything from your personal banking app to the systems that manage, global shipping routes or kitten video distribution networks, all profoundly important in their own ways. So the practices we're about to discuss aren't just abstract concepts, they are the very tools you need to be a responsible, effective, and, dare I say, heroic digital architect. So grab your metaphorical hard hats and safety goggles because we're about to dive into some essential best practices for secure coding. We'll explore how to anticipate the digital equivalent of those aforementioned flaming torches and hurricanes, and how to ensure your sandcastle or, enterprise-level software solution stands strong. It's a journey of 1,000 tiny, careful steps, but each one makes the digital world a little bit safer for everyone. Let's get started. Alright, first up, let's talk about input validation. Imagine your application is a very exclusive, very important club, and user input is everyone trying to get in. Now, you wouldn't just let anyone wander in off the street, would you? You'd have a bouncer checking IDs, making sure no one's trying to sneak in a giant inflatable gorilla or, more relevantly, a malicious payload. That's essentially what input validation is, rigorously checking, scrubbing, and confirming everything a user, or a potentially malicious actor pretending to be a user, tries to feed into your system. We're talking about names, email addresses, search queries, file uploads, basically any little morsel of data that comes from the outside world. The reason this is so critically, fundamentally important is because unchecked input is the open door for some of the most infamous digital nasties like SQL injection, where attackers can manipulate your database queries, or cross-site scripting, XSS, where they inject malicious scripts into web pages viewed by other users. It's like leaving your front door unlocked with a sign saying, "Free cookies and database access inside." So the mantra here is trust no one, or at least trust no input. Always validate for type, length, format, and range. Sanitize it, escape it, treat it like it's radioactive until proven otherwise. This isn't about being paranoid, it's about being prepared and building a resilient first line of defense. Next on our grand tour of secure coding is the dynamic duo authentication and authorization. Think of them as the gatekeeper and the rulebook for your digital kingdom. Authentication is all about answering the question, who are you, really? It's the process of verifying that users are who they claim to be. This usually involves something they know, like a password, something they have, like a security token or a one-time code sent to their phone, or something they are, like a fingerprint or facial scan. And let me tell you, relying solely on password 123 is like using a screen door to guard Fort Knox. We need strong, multi-factor authentication to make it genuinely difficult for imposters to breach the gates. Once we've confidently established who someone is, then authorization steps in. This answers the equally important question, okay, now that we know who you are, what are you allowed to do? This is where role-based access control, or RBAC, becomes your best friend. Not every user needs access to every part of the system or every piece of data. The intern probably shouldn't have the ability to delete the entire customer database, right? Authorization ensures that users only have permissions for the specific tasks and resources relevant to their role. It's about granting just enough access and no more, which, as we'll see later, ties beautifully into the principle of least privilege. Now let's talk about the treasure itself. The data. Whether it's personal user information, financial records, or super secret intellectual property, data is often the primary target for attackers. Securing this data isn't just a good idea, it's frequently a legal and ethical imperative. The cornerstone of secure data handling is encryption. Think of encryption as taking your sensitive information, putting it into an unbreakable magic box, and only giving the key to those who absolutely need it. And this magic box needs to protect data in two states, in transit and at rest. In transit means when data is moving, like when you submit a form on a website or when your app communicates with a server. This is where protocols like HTTPS, using TLS SSL, are non-negotiable, creating a secure tunnel for that data to travel through, safe from eavesdroppers. At rest refers to data that's stored, say, in a database, on a server's hard drive or in backups. Here, robust encryption algorithms should be used to scramble the data so that even if someone managed to get their hands on the physical storage, the data itself would be unintelligible gibberish without the decryption keys. And managing those keys? That's a whole other critical discipline in itself, like being the world's most careful locksmith. Chapter 4. The Art of Silent Alarms, Thoughtful Error Handling and Logging. This might seem counterintuitive, but when things go wrong in your application, and they inevitably will, because software is a human endeavor and humans are gloriously imperfect, how you the user about it matters immensely from a security perspective. The golden rule is to avoid exposing detailed error messages to end users. An error message like failed to connect to database on server with username is basically handing an attacker a roadmap to your system's internals. Instead, users should see generic friendly error messages like, "Oops, something went wrong, please try again later." But, and this is a crucial but, while users see the polite vague message, your system should be logging the nitty-gritty details of that error, and any other security-related events, in a secure, inaccessible to the public log. These logs are your digital breadcrumbs, your security camera footage. They are invaluable for diagnosing problems, detecting suspicious activity, and conducting forensic analysis if a breach does occur. Think of it as the difference between a public announcement and a confidential internal security report. One is for reassurance and guidance. The other is for vigilance and action, and make sure these logs themselves are protected, because they can contain sensitive information. Chapter 5. Many eyes make all bugs shallow. The power of code review and testing. You've written your code, you've tried to be secure, but how do you? That's where the relentless, ongoing process of code review and security testing comes in. It's like having a team of expert proofreaders, structural engineers, and even a few friendly saboteurs, the ethical kind, examine your work. Regular security code reviews, where other developers scrutinize your code specifically looking for potential vulnerabilities, are incredibly valuable. A fresh pair of eyes can often spot things you've overlooked simply because you're too close to the code. It's the can't see the forest for the trees phenomenon, but for security flaws. Then there's the active probing penetration testing, or pen testing, where ethical hackers attempt to break into your system, just like real attackers would, to identify weaknesses before the bad guys do. Complementing this are automated tools like static code analysis, SAST, and dynamic application security testing, DAST, which can scan your code base and running application for known vulnerability patterns. This isn't a one-and-done deal. Security is a moving target. New vulnerabilities are discovered all the time, so this process of review and testing needs to be a continuous part of your development lifecycle, a constant state of beneficial paranoia, if you will. Chapter 6. Standing on Shoulders, Safely Vigilant Dependency Management. In modern software development, we rarely build everything from scratch. And why would we? There are fantastic third-party libraries and frameworks out there that can save us enormous amounts of time and effort, handling everything from complex calculations to user interface elements. We are, in a very real sense, standing on the shoulders of giants. However, this reliance on external code or dependencies introduces its own set of security considerations. When you incorporate a library into your project, you're not just importing its functionality, you're also importing any vulnerabilities it might contain. This makes dependency management a critical security task. You need to know what libraries you're using, what versions they are, and most importantly, whether those versions have any known published vulnerabilities, often called CVEs, common vulnerabilities and exposures. Regularly scanning your dependencies and updating them to patched versions is paramount. It's like making sure all the components in your car Even the ones you didn't build yourself, like the tires or the engine control unit, are up to date with safety recalls. Ignoring this is like knowingly driving with faulty brakes. Eventually, it's going to cause a serious problem. Chapter 7. The Ephemeral Handshake, Prudent Session Management. Let's talk about sessions. When you log into a website, the server needs a way to remember who you are as you navigate from page to page, so you don't have to log in every single time you click a link. This memory is managed through sessions, often using session identifiers stored in cookies on your browser. Secure session management is all about ensuring these identifiers are strong, protected, and don't live longer than they absolutely need to. Think of a session ID as a temporary key to your account. You want that key to be very hard to guess or steal, and you want it to expire reasonably quickly. This means using secure, HTTP-only, and same-site cookies to protect session IDs from client-side script access and cross-site request forgery. It means generating long, random session identifiers that are difficult to predict, and critically, it involves implementing proper session expiration policies, both idle timeouts, logging you out after a period of inactivity, and absolute timeouts, logging you out after a fixed duration, regardless of activity. Leaving sessions open indefinitely is like leaving your house keys in the door. It's an invitation for someone to waltz in when you're not looking. Chapter 8. Just Enough Rope. The Principle of Least Privilege. Our final core principle today, and it's a big one that ties many of these ideas together, is the principle of least privilege. It's a simple yet profoundly powerful concept. Any user, program, or process should only have the bare minimum privileges necessary to perform its intended function, and nothing more. If a user only needs to read data, they shouldn't have write access. If a background service only needs to process images, it shouldn't have access to user authentication tables. It's like giving a chef only the knives they need for a specific dish, rather than the keys to the entire armory. This principle significantly reduces the potential damage if an account or process is compromised. If an attacker gains control of a low-privilege account, their ability to wreak havoc is severely limited compared to compromising an account with administrative or root access. Applying least privilege means carefully considering what permissions every component of your system truly needs and restricting them accordingly. It's about designing your system with inherent limitations on power, which paradoxically makes it much stronger and more resilient against threats. It's not about mistrusting your own code or users, but about acknowledging that vulnerabilities and compromises can happen, and designing to contain their blast radius. Outro: keep building, keep securing, keep being awesome. So, there you have it, a whirlwind tour of some of the most crucial secure coding practices. From validating every piece of input as if it's an alien artifact, to authenticating users like you're guarding the crown jewels, and encrypting data as if it's the secret formula for perfect coffee, which, let's be honest, would be pretty valuable. We've seen how handling errors with a poker face, constantly reviewing and testing your code, managing your dependencies like a vigilant librarian, handling sessions with care, and always applying the principle of least privilege are not just checkboxes, but a mindset. By following these best practices, you can significantly enhance the security of your applications and protect them from potential threats. It's an ongoing journey, not a destination. The threat landscape evolves, new vulnerabilities are discovered, and our understanding of how to build resilient systems deepens. But the commitment to these principles provides a solid foundation, a way to navigate the complexities of the digital world with a bit more confidence and a lot more security. It's about building things that last, things that users can trust, and things that contribute positively to the digital ecosystem. Remember, every line of secure code you write is a small act of making the internet, and by extension our increasingly connected world, a safer place. It's a big responsibility, but also a pretty cool opportunity. Stay safe and keep coding securely. And as we like to say in the world of building better, more secure digital experiences, don't forget to be awesome. Thanks for watching.